My name is Dylan CineMasai Green, and welcome to the Real Notes podcast. I speak with rappers, producers, journalists, and other hip-hop adjacent figures about their relationship with movies, and, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is Canadian rapper and host of Hip Hop Evolution, Shad. We spoke about Highest to Lowest in the works of Spike Lee, An American Tale, Welcome to the Dollhouse in the works of Todd Solondz, his work on Hip Hop Evolution, the 20th anniversary of his debut album When This Is Over, balancing having a message with having fun, the overarching narrative of his last 3 albums, a short story about a war, TAO, and the creative process behind the third and his latest album, Start Anew. Come fuck with us. Last time I was in Nova Scotia had to have been like 15 years ago. Like my sister's Girl Scout troop went on a trip and they were like, yo, do you want to, like, they were like, we have an extra space. You want, I was like, sure, why not? Let's go to Canada. I was really surprised by the amount of lobster they got going on out there. It's like lobster all over, which, like, I guess it makes sense. It's like a port city, Bay Area type thing. But I was like, because I'm thinking about the cold, so I don't think about like, oh, seafood, you know, like that's just my own ignorance as a kid.
Yeah, shit. That's interesting. I mean, no, that actually makes sense, but we're just so used to Nova Scotia being the seafood capital that we don't even think about that. But that obviously makes sense. But yeah, like fishing was just kind of the traditional industry out there, just still is to a great extent. Yeah, that's cool.
So I haven't been to Toronto yet. I've wanted to come out there forever. I just that's the only time I got to come out there. But like
cool.
I've heard nothing but great things about both Toronto and Montreal. Like my sister went out to Montreal. I want to say like a year and a half or maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
At this point, and came back and was like, we gotta go.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, I always recommend, as much as I love Toronto, I always recommend going to Montreal first because it's just so different.
Right.
You know, you'll get to Toronto, you'll recognize some differences, but it's also essentially small New York, you know, with a bit of Chicago mixed in. But Montreal, you get a whole different cultural flavor.
Right.
With the French and you know, it's majority French. So
yeah, you
get that whole European feeling, even though you're just a few hours away, which is dope.
Right, totally. And like and I mean, like, I know the diaspora, I know the African diaspora is pretty popping out in Montreal as well. Just like, I mean, just like the music alone, you know, like so many of my recent favorites I've realized are from, I mean, like I'm seems kind of basic to say now, I'm a big Kaytranada fan. Like he's from out there, you know, like like them and like Planet Giza. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Planet Giza.
Yeah,
they're super dope. I don't know. Mike Shab is from Montreal.
Shab. Yes,
amazing. Like shout out to Shab. he's so dope. He just put out an album last week. Y'all got it going on out there. You know, what more can I say?
Yeah. As much as I stump for Toronto, like get to Montreal, man. It's really cool. It is the more European, a little bit ahead style wise from Toronto. Like traditionally, it was always Drake helped Toronto become cool, but Montreal was always the cool. You know, the Kaytranada like that vibe. They're a little bit ahead. They're a little bit hip. You know, A-Track from up there, like.
Right, I always forget he's from Montreal. Yeah.
So they got that energy.
Right, and then like the Jazz Fest, you know, like it's like all that type of, like, that's my bag, so I feel it.
Dope.
I feel it. But what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to Real Notes. This is a nice little 10:30 in the morning edition of the pod. I got, like, if you're on Patreon, you can see it, but I got my little bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. That's the type of morning vibe we're on. My name's Dylan Green, CineMasai. Got a lot of names. Do a lot of shit outside, inside, all sides, and I'm with somebody who's running around a little bit, doing some errands, but we're all seated and situated and just like, so I'm good. So I'm gonna be completely honest. Before I was approached about this, I was not familiar. I was not tapped in with my guest today, but I've spent the last week or so going through as much of the discography as I could manage, and this is just like I can imagine around the time that I really started to like stumped for indie rap the way I've been for the last like 20 years, like this is like this would have been my whole personality. Like listening to your first project, like this would have been my whole personality the second I picked it up, you know. It's yeah, I mean like just like when this is over is so cool.
Wow.
This new project Start Anew is super dope. Like yeah, just like really like you know just like salt of the earth, man of the people, just like very just like meat and potatoes rap shit, you
Man,
know, like
thank you.
yeah, I'm very impressed. Like, I know the album just turned 20,
Yeah,
and you've really built a hell of a career. You
thank you.
know, Shad is here.
Yay.
Some of y'all might know him as Shad K. I know him
Yeah.
as Shad because I'm new here, but thank you so much for taking the time to come here. And like Start Anew is this is a really fun, very like centering and like just it's been a year on this end for reasons
Mm.
maybe I'll get into later, but like this is very grounding and centering music for me. So like thank you for being brave and honest enough to kind of unravel this stuff on record. It
Yeah.
never goes unnoticed, you know.
Man, well, listen, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening closely. Thank you for going back in the discography. That's crazy. I really appreciate that. You know, you taking the time to do that. That's really honoring. So thank you so much. And yeah, I'm just happy to get into it. Anything you want to discuss, man, let's do it.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, like, this is a like as I'm sure you know, this is a film and music podcast, and of course, like you've got hip hop evolution going on. So I definitely want to tap into that as well. But the first question I ask everybody who comes on here is, what was the last movie or TV show you watched that you had a strong opinion about?
I have okay. I have very strong opinions about TV, but I got to go with film this time because I was so disappointed with the Spike Lee Denzel.
Okay, so you're the first, or maybe not the first, like you're the third person to bring it up at the second to be disappointed because I was disappointed too. So
Yeah.
please tell me
Okay.
why you were disappointed.
To me, it was just like, okay, this is just a layup. Like Denzel is a layup.
Yeah.
Denzel is a human layup. You know, just put a camera on him and let him cook. And I just felt like first of okay, there's like a million things that were wrong with it to me, but the first thing was just giving him this character where he can't just go off, he can't get his stuff off. He's supposed to be too like level-headed, and yet he's a music exec from the 2000s. It's like he should be a madman. Like that's the perfect tee up for him to get to just be a madman music exec in New York from the 2000s. But
Mm-hmm.
instead he's and then there's some plot things that didn't make sense. The score to me was just crazy. It was just too loud for one thing. There's a lot of plot holes. I was just like, look, this should have been a layup. I'm not a film critic. I like to with film. I just like to have fun. I like give
Yeah.
me an equalizer. Give me an equalizer, and
Sure.
I'm a
Yeah.
happy
Word.
man. You know. So yeah, I was really upset. I was really excited to watch this. I thought Denzel's gonna play, you know, basically a Diddy, but without all the stuff. You know what I mean?
Of
Like
course. Yeah.
just like a crazy music exec from the 2000s, and instead he just couldn't get his stuff off. He couldn't do his Denzel thing.
Right. It was weird because like they make such a big deal about what Stacking Hits Records is supposed to be, but you don't really know like you kind of get the ethos in the sense that he's like, I'm a big Nas fan. I like Marvin, and it's just like the most like generic black music choices imaginable. Like I like Nas and Marvin Gaye and Shaka Khan and Bob Marley, and I love Nas, Shaka Khan, Marvin Gaye, and like
Yeah,
they're all great. But it's just like that's not telling me what your label. Like they make all these there's like so many details about like, oh, like we were on top and we had all these hits. I'm like, what kind of music did you push? What type of music do you don't find out what type of music he likes for real until he has the ladies sing the song at the end, and it's just like I don't know, it's like, just like building so much of the movie around this
Yeah.
label and kind of just expecting us to be like, all right, like this is just, it's big because you say it's big, you know, like there's
Yes.
no context. And like that really, I think that would have helped a
Yeah.
lot. And then just like, and then that bleeds into everything going on with Rocky's character. Cause like they put him forth as like a drill rapper, but he's just making Rocky songs. Like this is just like mid to late 2000s ASAP Rocky stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
like, so like, and like I know like Spike's older, like Spike's in his damn near 70s. Like
Yeah.
I don't expect him to be caught up on everything happening in New York like that. But just to, I don't know, just as somebody who's like very entrenched in that stuff, it's just weird to see the disconnect, because like Spike used to have his finger on the pulse, and he just like hasn't for a long time, and it
Yeah.
didn't really hit me the way it did until this movie. It's so weird. It's so fucking weird.
It
I
is
wish I liked this
so
movie more.
weird. I'm glad you got into the plot stuff because I didn't even get into the plot stuff. Like the plot, starting with the music, I can always suspend some, not suspend disbelief, but like I can always forgive things when films are set in the music industry and they get it wrong. Like to some extent, I can set that aside and go, okay. But this, you're right. It was just all over the place from a music standpoint. And then, I mean, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but the thing where he kind of, this idea that he has magic ears, and
Yeah.
that is what sort of solves the whole case, is like his magic music industry ears. I'm like, this is too much. That's too much.
Right. And like and it's funny because they're really trying to play it like it's mysterious, but I hear him talking, I'm like, he just sounds like ASAP Rocky.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't know. It's there were a lot of questions, and it's weird because like there were a lot of questionable choices. I left disappointed, but it feels weird to say I like enjoyed it still. It was like
Yeah.
entertaining. Like I
Yeah.
enjoyed watch. I don't regret watching it, but it's definitely like on the bottom tier of my Spike Lee like
Yeah.
master list. Like it's not Chirac bad, but it's
Hmm.
maybe like She Hate Me bad. You know,
Yep.
which
Yep.
like I love. And like She Hate Me is another weird one because like so many problems, so many issues. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I will watch it every time it comes on. If I think about it, like I'm gonna go watch She Hate Me, but it's not a good movie. So you know, it's
Yeah.
yeah. Spike's just really, he's always gonna fascinate. He's always so fascinating.
Yep.
I love thinking about his movies. You know.
No, same. I love his great movies, and to your point, I also love some of his movies where I'm like, that wasn't great,
Yeah.
but it was fascinating and so fun to watch. Like Bamboozle
Hmm.
is one of my favorite movies of all time. Is it a perfect
Incredible.
movie? No, but it's the best movie. Like,
Yeah. See, I appreciate you saying that because like I talk to people who like appreciate it, but
mm,
to me that's like in my opinion like damn near Do the Right Thing level. Like
yep,
just based on like, cuz whenever I judge anything, it's just like, is this the best version of what it's trying to be? And to me, Bamboozled is like, I can't imagine that movie being better than the version we got. You know? Like it's and like the first time I watched it, I had to take a break. Like I think I took like a 45-minute break in between because I had to have been like, I was like 16, 17 when I saw it for the first time, and I was just
yeah,
like, like it just, I don't know, that it feels, that's just one I know I'm gonna keep in my heart forever.
yep.
Like I tell everybody to watch it. Like just watch it once. You don't got to watch it more than once. Just take it in, let it hit you in the face, and then move on with your life. You know.
It impacted me so much that I still haven't seen American Fiction
Wow. Yeah. Same here, bro. Wow.
because I'm like,
Wow.
I if it's anything close to Bamboozled, I don't even want to go there. Like, there's no way it could touch, so many things in Bamboozled that just like stay with you for life, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, just like everything with the Mau Mau's is amazing to me. I still
yeah,
think about like the first scene where they're just like in the studio and just going back and forth, and Most doing his thing. Um the roots being the Alabama porch monkeys. I don't know, man. Like it's just so many, and like I love the fact that Spike shot it on a digital handheld camera as
Yeah.
opposed to like shooting it on film, like because like that wasn't common at the time, and it just
Hmm.
gives it such a like it makes it feel like a home movie in a way that feels kind of um like melancholic. It's such a weird fucking movie. Everything about it is so strange, but it works. Like I don't know.
And that's
Yeah.
part of why I love it. The strangeness that, man, Damon Wayans' accent. I mean,
Yeah.
what a choice! What a choice! But I don't, I wouldn't have it any other way. Michael, the Michael Rappaport, that scene with Michael Rappaport where Damon Wayans is pitching the show and he's just like
Uh-huh.
so excited is one of the greatest scenes like ever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, and then that turned out to be pretty like art to life, like
Yeah,
art imitating life for him. So yeah, I just
thousand
I don't
percent.
like it's just yeah, that movie's great. It's like I got a homie who wears he found a shirt with the poster of the movie on it, like black dude. Let me put that out there. But like he wears it out occasionally and it just makes me happy because I know somebody's going to look at that and be like, "What's that?" Like and
Yeah.
then that's just another convert to the gospel, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
So I love Spike for I almost love Spike more for those movies and those moments, where you just like
for
get to
sure.
follow him as an auteur making these choices. Some of them are incredible, some are so strange, but still compelling. But yeah, I gotta say this one is I do put it just ahead of Chirac.
Mm, okay.
It is at the bottom, and maybe even because he wasted a Denzel, it might even be like on par with Chirac
That's fine. That's
yeah,
fine. I respect it.
yeah.
um oh man. Okay, so I'm really excited to hear your answer to this next question. I want to dig a little bit into your viewing history a bit. So like what's the first movie you can remember, the first movie experience you can remember
Mm.
having? It could be at the theater, it could be at your cousin's house, just like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first thing that comes to mind.
The first one that comes to mind is at school. We watched Five Goes West, American
Fine.
Tail,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a good little Canadian tidbit here. I went to a French school, like French first language school, everything in French, but I didn't
Right.
speak French before going to the school, so I didn't fully understand what was happening in American Tail. I'm just like watching it, and I see at the beginning this mouse is separated from his family in New York. Like, how's he going to find his family in New York as a mouse?
Right.
And I was just distraught.
Do you remember when you like did you ever get the chance to watch it again after you saw it that first time with like the proper context?
I didn't watch it again, but then I remember at a certain point realizing this is a Disney movie. He must have found his family by the end.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, nah, cuz I'm
yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean
so
to
I
cut you
didn't
off.
even I didn't even have to rewatch it. I was like, oh, because for years I just thought, oh man, that's the most terrible movie ever. It's just like this immigrant mouse who gets orphaned. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I realized, wait, there's just no way that that's how it actually ended. And someone was like, yeah, bro, like he found his family. Of course, he found his family. Yeah,
I don't remember exactly I don't remember exactly what happens like in sequence, but I've seen the movie a few times. I remember the poster really hitting me cuz like the original poster for the movie is just Fievel on top of a big ass suitcase with like a
yeah,
bunch of people and like legs, and you could see they're like walking off a boat. I love that they just played with scale in this really cool way and just showed
yeah,
like this is a small mouse on top of this kind of sort of big suitcase with all these big ass legs around him. Like it's like as a little kid it was just easy to get sucked
yeah.
up in that. But I think I saw Five Goes West first,
Okay,
and
okay,
like that, and you're like that one's a bit less the original An American Tale is very like this is an immigrant story. Like
yeah,
it couldn't be more clear what that movie's about. and the next one is just kind of like, oh, he's in the old west and he's got like a pop gun, and there's like a cat share. It's like it's much sillier and less, like, not less impactful. It's just like it doesn't take itself as seriously, and it's not trying to tell, like, it's not trying to be like the story in the way that the original is. But then I go back and watch the original, and I'm a little older, and I'm just like, damn, like, this is it really just like it was more impactful, me not expecting it to be that crazy, because it's a crazy movie. Like, it's so sad.
I remember feeling like, I was like really impacted by it emotionally, like, because at a certain point I think he's lost his parents, but he's going around with his friends, but then his friends decide, I forget, do they decide to settle down or something like that, and then he's kind of by himself? I don't really remember, but it was very poignant.
Yeah,
it was very poignant.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like, there's songs, and they like it's like that was the era when every animated movie had songs, and the songs are like, and this is like Don Bluth. Like, Don Bluth was like hitting home runs between that and like Secret of Nim, and what else, like Fern Gully might have been later, I don't know, but like he had a very specific style, and like, yeah, like those were. Yeah.
So that was him who wrote the Somewhere Out There.
Maybe I don't know if he wrote the song.
Okay.
But he's the man who like did the animation and like directed.
Okay.
But like, yeah, I don't know who wrote Somewhere Out, but yeah, right, Somewhere Out There. Like, that's like that's up there with like Where Are You Christmas from the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. Like, those songs that kind of become standards, and then you realize like, oh shit, it's from this movie. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's, yeah, just not see. Now I gotta go back and rewatch An American Tail. It's been too long.
And I'm trying to remember who sang that song. I feel like it's Peebo Bryson, but that could just be because Peebo Bryson was doing a lot of those kind of like big movie soundtrack duets.
Mm-hmm.
Could be James. Maybe it was James Ingram, actually.
I could see it. I mean, like, they had Faith Hill do Where Are You Christmas, so anything's possible,
Yeah.
But like, as you get older and you start to develop your own taste and refine your palate, I like to think of this next one as a capital M movie, like the one that really kind of stopped you in your tracks, connected with you in an emotional, artistic, or spiritual way.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with. That's a great question. There was Boys in the Hood.
Mm-hmm.
That really struck me. And then I also remember going to the video store and for some reason grabbing Welcome to the Dollhouse. I think that's
Todd Solondz. Yeah.
Todd Solondz. And I'd never seen a movie like that had that kind of deadpan humor in a different kind of way than I'd ever seen. And again, certain scenes that just like stayed with me for a long time. Both of those come to mind. I still remember accidentally watching Kids. I don't know if that like shaped me in any way, but just I wish that didn't happen. But it was like again, it was one of those video store, like, because it had Kids written in blocks.
Yeah.
And I was a kid, so I was like, okay, kids. Like
I was gonna ask how old you were.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, cool, like kids like me, but it looked like an adventure. It looked like Stand By Me or something.
Right.
And it was like, I don't know how. Yeah, it was some version of Stand By Me. I don't know what you want to call that, but
right.
That was crazy. But no, I think honestly, Welcome to the Dollhouse was a pretty big one, and Boys in the Hood were pretty big ones around the same age, around like 15. Right. I saw both of those for the first time. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about both of them, but I want to start with Dollhouse because I'm a huge Solondz fan. I've seen almost all his movies, once again, not a bunch of times. Those aren't movies you watch. Like that's not like you gather your family for Thanksgiving and watch Welcome to the Dollhouse. But but like, yeah, I remember watching Dollhouse for the first time and just kind of like, cause like it's playing around with these kind of like sitcom-y, romantic comedy type of things, but it's just like the darkest, bleakest version of that you could possibly imagine.
Yep.
Just like yeah, just like Dawn Wiener being this like just being this like nerdy girl that everyone hates. They call her all these terrible names. There's this like the one scene that always sticks out in my head is the one where like the boy that she kind of sort of has a crush on, but is also her bully, comes to
That,
her treehouse and does stuff like he does what he thinks is an assault, but it's not like it's just like you could just see these kids trying to act out it's just like the most like raw, intimate, like why are children in these situations like like even just thinking about it, it's making my brain kind of like
yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's like he's so brave. Like I don't know, man. Like his movies are just like so brave and honest, and I don't know. I don't know
I
how
don't
to.
even know. I don't even know if I've seen others, to be honest.
Mm.
I don't know if I've seen his. Like he did Gummo.
No, that was Harmony Korine.
Oh,
That was
that's not
the guy who wrote Kids,
who wrote Kids.
directed
Okay.
Gummo. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not even sure if I've seen his other films, but yeah, exactly. To your point, it's just this depiction of childhood that was like spot on in how
Yeah.
confusing it is, in how strange kids truly behave,
Right. And how cruel they can be.
and
Like
how cruel.
those are some fucked up children, bro. Like.
Yep, yep. How cruel kids are, but also the weird way that we survive it because some of it goes over our head,
Yeah.
or just the weird way we survive it as well. You know what I mean? Because it
Mm-hmm.
um so it tapped into all that. Yeah, that scene with like her bully slash crush. That's really how it goes down. Like in terms of your weird childhood feelings, like even being bullied is kind of intimate. Like
Yeah.
so, yeah. And sometimes, as we all know, people bully or kids kind of like tease or bully the person they like. Like it's all extremely confusing, but that's
Yeah.
really how it goes down. There's a scene in terms of the humor that I'll never forget where I think it's Dawn Wiener is trying out like defending herself with a comeback. But she had oh no, it's her friend, it's her little friend, the little guy who gets
Yeah.
bullied a lot too. And he's trying to defend himself and he tries out a comeback and he says to his bully, "You think you're hot shit, but you're just cold diarrhea." But as he's saying it, he's losing confidence. There's just like no conviction by the end, and I was just like,
Yeah.
wow, I've never seen anyone also show that about childhood, how you're fumbling around with how am I going to cope? How am I going to defend myself? What's going to be my unique way of surviving this childhood thing?
Right.
Um, if I'm not strong enough to physically defend myself, maybe I'll be clever and quick. But he's just finding out, mid attempt that that's not going to be the way either. So yeah, it's a snapshot of all that stuff that we forget. Like I was thinking, I have a couple small kids, and sometimes they fight, and it made me realize that there's so much insane behavior that we get out of our systems as kids at home, and we
Yeah.
then we just forget that we ever did that we ever acted like that, right? and
Right.
and if someone does that out in the real world, we just think they're crazy, and they are crazy, but it's like, no, we actually all did that as kids. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 no, and just like the ways. I mean, like, I don't have children, but just like the ways that we act as adults, and just like how they can like imprint on a child in ways that you don't realize, in definitely not in the moment, but then you look at it, and then like 10 years go by, or like I can imagine. And I don't know, like I'm like my parents have been telling me stuff like that recently, or just like, oh, like I did this and now that might be why you do that, like it's, and just like
Yeah.
seeing those connections happen, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Before
Yep.
we move on to Boys in the Hood,
Yeah.
Todd Solondz made another movie called Happiness. I don't know if you've ever heard of
I've
Happiness
heard of
before.
it. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. Yeah.
So you're gonna need to like you're gonna need to like block out a whole day, because you're gonna be trapped. You're not gonna be very happy with humanity after you watch Happiness. Like it's one of those where I don't even know if I want to like say. I guess I could say. I think I've mentioned it like once or twice on here, but like it's about this family. It's about three. It's a family of three women, and each of their lives and how like just how their versions of happiness are kind of fulfilled, but also heavily. It's one of those movies that has like it has a story, stuff happens in it, but it's
Hmm.
so once again like just like really pitch black comedy humor, like super dark, super bleak, super depressing. Like they're like one of the characters is a therapist, and yeah, just go find happiness. That's
Okay.
like that's I had the experience with happiness that you had with kids. I didn't see it when I was a kid, but I was like 14, 15. I shouldn't have been 14, 15, 16 watching Happiness. That's all I'm gonna say. That's like a you watch that movie when your brain is fully formed,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's find it. It's worth a watch. It's just it's very intense and very fucked up, but you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Worth the watch, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I gotta check that out for sure.
But Boys in the Hood, I mean, like Boys in the Hood's a classic.
Yeah.
Love me some John Singleton.
Yeah.
That was very formative for me for a lot of reasons. Just like I don't know, like the character of Furious and like Ice Cube and everybody. Like I mean, like or not O-Dog. O-Dog is Menace to Society. What was what was Ice Cube's character's name in Boys in the Hood? I'm blanking on it right now. I should
Doughboy.
know this too. Doughboy. There we go. Yeah, no, I'm thinking. O Dog is Lorenz Tate in
Mhm.
Menace to Society. But I don't know, man. Just watching Cuba Gooding come home from being I'm watching Trey get dropped off and not going to the shooting, coming home and just like punching the fucking wall just because he's so mad about everything. Just like when the weight of it just crushed him. Like
Yeah.
what a movie, you know.
What a movie. And yeah, just to center on this thing of the choices that you make, man, when you're so young, 15, 16, can
Yeah.
can change your life, Um and it can be really high stakes depending on your situation. It can be extremely high stakes. Yeah, I was impacted on by that for the rest of my life. That
Hmm.
the scene with Ricky. I mean, all that is just like
Yeah.
that will like stay with you forever. Um, yeah, incredible, incredible.
Yeah, no, like more, yeah, like Morris Chestnut as Ricky is maybe my favorite Morris Chestnut role ever, and
Yeah,
a big part of that is because like there's a scene, I mean like there's a scene early on where he's just like drinking a whole carton of milk, just like outside, like he like ran 2 miles and then just like downed a whole carton of milk, and I'm like, that's not the first thing I'm drinking after I do like distance running. Like, just give me
no,
some water, give me Gatorade, but I'm not doing the milk.
yeah,
That was. It just makes me chuckle every time I think about it.
yeah, yeah. And and yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. I mean, I rewatched it, and he's doing his Cuba thing in there, but it's still good. Like the movie's still strong.
Right. That
Um,
was just like that was one of his first performances ever too. So,
yeah, yeah,
or one of his first big ones anyway.
yeah. Lawrence Fishburne
Mm-hmm.
kills it. Um, yeah, so that was definitely an impactful one for me. Um,
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else I loved about it. I mean, yeah, being in Canada too, it's like LA is such a different world. I remember even watching rap videos set in LA, and they'd be wearing like hoodies and a hockey jersey, and I'm like, isn't it hot?
Yeah, it's like 90 degrees in the shade. Yeah, totally.
I'm like, I thought it was hot there. It looks hot. And then, but yeah, and you go there for the first time, you're like, oh, actually, like it's not humid. It cools off at night. Just remember, yeah, videos of Snoop riding around on a bicycle with like a big hockey jersey on over top of
Yeah.
a shirt. And I'm like, what is this place?
Right, and
Uh,
like thick ass flannel. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, these are great questions. Yeah, those are my top two that come to mind that really kind of um, left a big impact when I was younger. Yeah.
That's dope. And yeah, I want to. And like, I'm happy you went into the music stuff already, because that was going to be my next question. Just like, when did music become capital M music for you? Not even in terms of wanting to make it, but just being fascinated by music.
I think that certain songs like "Stakes is High" by De La Soul, like I remember
Classic.
Pause the News saying like gun control means using both hands
Both hands in my land.
in my
Yeah.
land. I was like, whoa. Like this was more than just a like a dope punchline. This was like, wow, there's people doing this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um so there are moments like that stand out for me. Common was another one where, yeah, like retrospect for life. You know, you just watching music videos as a kid, and it's like, it's Janet Jackson playing intergalactic ping pong or whatever that video was.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
like it's just like cool stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, like Common comes on talking about whether or not he should have an abortion with his girlfriend, and you're like, whoa.
My fault. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to shout out the Real Notes Patreon one time. For as little as $5 a month, you get exclusive goodies like video of every interview, 2-day early access to every interview, an invite to the Real Notes Discord server, exclusive access to the Real Talk Movie Night archive, and early pre-sale links for all live events. If you want to give a little more, you get other exclusives like retro 60-second movie reviews and monthly 90-minute workshops with me, where we can discuss whatever creative questions or projects you might have going on. Head over to patreon.com/realnotes. That's REELNOTES to join right now. I repeat, all videos will only be available on the Patreon. Thanks for listening. Shout out to my patrons. Now let's get back to talking.
Like music can be that too. Like I didn't know that. So there's moments like that. Really early, I gotta say Tennessee by Arrested Development as well.
Yeah.
You know, just again, you turn on the radio and it's just a bunch of fun songs, and Tennessee's a fun song, but then he's just saying like, what is he saying there? You know, like, Lord, I ask you why you enlighten me without the enlightenment of all my friends. And I just remember like, whoa, this is like, again, a whole other level to music that, that I was discovering for the first time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, just like sitting there and like being enveloped by a melody, or just like the way people's voices move between a beat, and then like that's always what hits me first. And
Yeah.
then you start to dig into what they're saying. If they're talking about some real shit, it's just like it just hits on multiple levels, and it can be dizzy, especially with like, like Resurrection and like Water for Chocolate era Common. Like I started out with B, and like B in itself is just like hearing Testify hearing an album that would have something like Testify on it, and then a song like Go, like having those. I'm big on like duality, and just
Yeah.
like everything balances itself out. Like that's like you like listen to. I remember hearing B by watching the video for the first time, and obviously I'm like preteen, had to have been like 12, maybe like 13, 14 when that happened, but just like 2-3 years later realizing like, oh, that's what that song is about.
Yeah.
Or like, or even just like I Used to Love Her, something like super duper
Yeah.
like universal, like just realizing like, oh, it's a love song about hip hop, like that type of. It's just that type of stuff is always like it impacts.
Yeah.
It's like that's the yeah, it impacts.
Yeah, that's the thing. You realize there's another level to it, and then I'll even say on the like the music side, the production side, some of those songs are like crazy jazz samples, and they're chopped up. I'm thinking like Crooklyn Dodgers, for example.
Song is fire.
fire. And just I remember being a kid and hearing that and feeling transported because I'm like, I don't know how you do that. I don't know what instrument is that? What how do you even create that? Or Find a Way by Tribe and hearing that beat and
Mm-hmm.
being like, what is happening musically in my ears right now? Like this I'm hearing this bass line that is clearly not a bass guitar. And then I'm hearing they're singing, but they're singing over Japanese or something. Like I don't know. It was just I'm just like I don't understand. And then realizing, okay, this is sampling. This is how you can do that.
Right.
Um, that was also crazy. And speaking of Find a Way, I just saw this interview with Ninth Wonder, and
Oh, the
he
one where he's doing the family tree with Q-Tip.
with Q-Tip and
Yeah.
specifically with Bonita Applebaum. And I've long thought that that's true. I've long suspected that. Like, yes, Bonita Applebaum. To me, Find a Way is very Bonita Applebaum-ish. It's just kind of takes you to another world type beat. Um, I think I added this comment on the video too. I'm like, I think Pharrell's a descendant of that.
Oh, for sure. Easy.
I think
Yeah.
Pharrell is a descendant of Bonita Applebaum as well. Like there's so many those Neptunes like pre-chorus or bridges that just take you floating into space. Like I'm like that
Yeah.
is Bonita Applebaum as well. So yeah, um, that Q-Tip influence for sure. Like that impacted me big time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like speaking as somebody who like, yeah, I grew up on a lot of Q-Tip. He was one of my to this day, he's still my favorite rapper producer ever. Like,
Yep.
I don't know, there's just like hearing like Bonita Applebaum and El Segundo and just like all like I'm a Tribe nut. So like all of those songs, like the way he managed to like he could take a guitar line and make that shit swing like no other. Like the beauty of sampling is just taking something and completely tweaking it to make it sound like something and you're like not even in the sense that you're like distorting it to the point where you can't tell what it is. It's
Hmm.
just about like unlocking a different rhythm in it where it's just like instead of going in one two like instead of being on the one and the three, now it's on the two and the four. Like
Yep.
just it, it's it's like working with a puzzle. It's just like rearranging the puzzle in a different way. And like you going like you finding like Can I Kick It, another great example. Like you go and listen to Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side, and like that song has a completely different feel from Can I Kick It, in the same way that I forget the song that Bonita Applebaum samples, but I've heard it. But like those two songs, like their feelings are completely different. But
Yeah.
Tip heard something in the drums and in that music and just made something new. And it's like that'll always I'm always chasing that feeling when I'm listening to anything, you know? Like
Yep. And Q-Tip is the master of knowing how it's supposed to feel.
yeah, man.
Just you got to really have it in your bones, in your body of like it's supposed to feel like this when it comes out, you know. And
Mhm.
I tell people this story of, and this is related to hip hop evolution. Um, Q-Tip was the only guy that for the whole interview I was nervous,
Wow.
and it surprised me because every interview I was what I would call appropriately nervous, like beforehand, out of proper respect, you know, for my guest. But then as soon as we start speaking, it's easy, and we're just talking about hip hop, which I love, and
Word.
so then it's easy. Q-Tip, it really surprised me. I As soon as I saw him, I realized the debt I owe to him. I think that's what it was on like a deep level. Was like,
Yeah.
oh man, I wasn't prepared for this. I read everything and I listened to everything and I was prepared for that, but I wasn't prepared for like to Ninth Wonder's point. I wasn't prepared to be with the trunk of this tree that I'm a tiny branch of. I
Yeah, man.
And it didn't leave me the whole interview. It was like, oh man, this is I kind of owe this guy everything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
and
no,
it's impossible to convey that. It's not even like I'm
right.
there were other people who was like, I'm a huge fan, you inspired me, and that I can convey, but I don't know how to properly convey that, like, you started the thing I'm a part of.
Right. It's like talking to Miles Davis. Like, what do you say? What would you say to Miles Davis? What would you say to like Grace Jones? Like, I don't know. Like these
Yeah.
types of like luminaries, you know? Like like you said, it's a step beyond just being a fan. It's just, like you recognizing what they've. Like, I don't know. That's I
Yeah.
can't imagine, man. I haven't had the honor yet, but like that's
I didn't
I'm with you.
Yeah, I didn't properly prepare myself for that. I didn't know that that's what I was, stepping into. And so, yeah, every question felt a little bit inane, like, to me, because, like, I should just be saying thank you, and just moving.
Right.
Like, every question felt a little bit silly. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, I should be digging in my pockets and giving you something. I don't know. Anyhow. So yeah, those types of tracks. I know actually he produced Crooklyn Dodgers, so
Yep, he did.
So that's a Q-tip for you right there. But on the music side, yeah, I just remember hearing some of those type of beats, or "The World Is Yours," Nas and the Pete Rock
Mm-hmm.
sampling Ahmad Jamal. Like, again, not just jazz, but jazz chopped up in this hip hop way where you're suddenly like, I do not understand what I'm listening to. And then basically all of Outkast, it gave me that same feeling of like, where am I?
Yeah. So, okay, now that you brought up Outkast, I've been having this conversation a lot lately for some reason, but it seems to me that right now, for a lot of people, people can't, there's no consensus on whether ATLiens or Aquemini is better anymore. I'm like, for years I've been Aquemini. Like, I love that album front to back, know every song like the back of my hand, but every once in a while I just get caught up in ATLiens. Like, Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac is one of my favorite Outkast songs ever, and then like Elevators is, I don't know, like, it's just, those two albums are so special. They feel timeless and not of this world, but rooted in it. It's, yep. I don't know, man. They're so special. Like I think Tribe and Q-Tip specifically, and then Outkast are like, so much of this stuff that we've been listening to over the last like 30 going on 40 years is just like, it's them.
Yeah.
It's them, like still pulling from that DNA in so many ways.
I mean, has rap caught up to Bombs Over Baghdad? I don't think so. You know what I mean? I think that's still the most futuristic rap song like I've ever heard. Outkast is so crazy. So there was a day, someone posted about it recently. There was a release date in 1998. I remember because I was 16 and I was on the bus to a field trip with my Discman and a stack of these CDs. It all came out the same day. Black Star. It was Black Star, Outkast, Jay-Z, Outkast, Aquemini, Jay-Z, I forget the album. I had the stack. I was all ready to listen to them all. And Aquemini went in and it didn't leave for at least a couple months. Because, you get to Spodioti Dopalicious, you get to Art of Storytelling, you're like, what, where am I? Yeah. And they don't get their props as producers either, Organized Noise is incredible, but, Outkast themselves produced a lot of this stuff from even the Aliens going forward. And just to be able to execute those songs, to conceive of those songs and execute those songs. That was always my thing with Kendrick, where I was like, man, it's one thing to have these ideas. It's another thing to have the ideas and be able to execute them so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, like Kendrick at his best is just some of those ideas. It's just like, man, like you and your team really meant, like, once again, it's one thing to have the idea, but to bring it in the world and to have people connect to it is that's like the purest form of art there is. Like,
to be able to capture some of that stuff, you can say, I want to make a song called Rosa Parks. It's going to have like a harmonica solo and a banjo and a real kind of country feel to it. That's a great idea, but
Yeah.
can make it sound good? And then Rosa Parks is an incredible song that somehow, yeah, it feels like a country hoedown, but it is so hip hop and
Yeah,
perfect.
man.
Um, you can say I want to make this kind of Curtis Mayfield, um, spoken word, largely with the trumpet kind of theme that comes back. And it's like, that's a really cool idea. But then to be able to actually make Spodioti Dopalicious is another thing, you know?
Yeah, man.
There's songs like Humble Mumble on Stankonia that weren't even singles that I'm like, this is like the best song I've ever heard.
Yeah. they were
Not
they were they were cooking with grease, man. Like it's just crazy. Like just yeah, just like there's stuff that wasn't even put out there is better than some people's like quote unquote A material. Like and like
easily.
I got the chance to see them live when they did that tour in 2014. They played Governor's Ball in New York. Like that was incredible. Like having been like a lifelong Outkast fan, like yeah, they're something else. It's just like timeless music, timeless music.
And I'll say one last thing, because this is
Yeah,
like my favorite Andre quote. So he was interviewed up here on Much Music, which was our MTV. We didn't have MTV; we had Much Music. So he was interviewed up here one time, and it was like after Hey Ya came out, and everyone's really hailing him at that point as like a true genius, right? And
right.
he gets a call mid interview that Hey Ya went to number one, and the interviewer was just like, man, like it's all happening for you, like everyone's saying you're a genius. And I'll never forget, he looked at her so soberly and humbly and honestly. It was not false humility. He was like, I'm not a genius. He's like, I know I'm not a genius. He's like, I know that because I know how hard I work. He said, I just pay attention.
Mm. And it's that simple. Like,
I've never forgotten that. He's like, I guess I just pay attention. And I was like, yeah, that really and truly is the work. The work is to like listen to what's going on within yourself, what's going on in the world. And if you're able to do that, actually, that's the key. That unlocks everything. If you can pay attention. Shout out Outcast, man.
yeah, truly, bro. Like, and I mean, like that's a perfect place to jump off to. Like, when did you know that music was going to become more than just a hobby for you? Like, I know that you used money that you won from Rhythm of the Future to, or yeah, Rhythm of the Future to make when this is over, but like when did but yeah yeah just like walk me through when you realized that rap was gonna become your vocation for real.
Yeah. So you probably had a similar. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to project. You can tell me if you had a similar experience. But for me, it was like when I was in high school, I was freestyling with friends. I was just having fun with hip hop in that way.
Word.
And because my heroes were Common and Lauryn Hill and Outkast and stuff, anytime I tried to write something serious, I hated it immediately. Like these were the people I looked up to, and it's like it's just not on their level. So let me just get my little rhymes off with my friends and have some fun with it. Like that was it. And then I remember being like maybe 18 or 19 and writing something for the first time that felt. I remember looking at the words on the page and going like, "Oh, that's me." Like
Mm.
that's actually my life, and that's actually how I would say it. And I think from that point forward, I remember a certain feeling of like, uh-oh, like I think I think this is my life now. Like it was almost like, uh-oh, like this is a, you know, I the conventional path is might not be for me actually
Yeah.
because this is so exciting. This is so exciting. And I didn't want to project onto you, but I think most creative people, they have that moment where you're like, I don't know, you put something down, you say something, you write something that you're like, I actually have a voice. I actually have a point of view.
Yeah.
It's hard to put that genie back in the bottle,
Yeah, man. I mean, I definitely had that moment, and it's funny because like with music, like I was around friends who freestyled. We would just go in my basement, play beats, rap. I was never super good at it, and like I grew up playing music. I grew up loving music, but like after a while, I was like, I want to be involved, but I don't know that I want to like play. Like maybe there's some other aspect I can be involved. And then I started writing, and I'm like going through my criticism phase, and like I'm reading Roger Ebert, I'm reading all these music critics and all this stuff, and then eventually I start writing on my own. It's like I haven't found my voice yet, but I write a shit ton, and I don't remember exactly what interview, or I don't remember exactly what piece it was, but yeah, I remember like looking at it and being like, that's me on the page right there. Like, okay, so I can do this. And then, it just took me on the journey I've been on for the last like 10, maybe close to 15 years at this point. So yeah, it's like that really is it. Like once you find out that you can do this thing that's you, and it's just like, this is like we were saying before, like the purest form of self-expression.
Yeah.
And people connect to it in like not a good job, pat on the head type of way. Like it's like, oh, like wow, like once you can, that's it. There's no better high to chase.
There's no better high. There's no turning back.
Yeah.
And it's also the thing of realizing like you have a little contribution, like an actual small contribution to make. It's not just, like I said, when I was in high school and try to write stuff down, it's like, this is me just trying to imitate my hero. I could tell right away, like, this is just me trying to imitate my heroes, and I don't have the depth or the, you know what I mean? Like I'm 15. I do not have as rich an emotional landscape as Lauryn Hill at this point. You know what I mean? Like maybe someday, but not today. Like today, I don't have the things to say that she has to say. I don't have doesn't have the same weight when I'm trying to say it. So yeah, once you realize there's a little contribution that you have to make, it's highly addictive, and not even just addictive. I actually think it's important to pursue that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's affirming, like it's like, this is like, not even that it becomes your only purpose in life, but that's very much like creation is like, it's healthy. It's just a healthy way to get stuff out that you may not want to express otherwise. And like, it's like listening to When This Is Over and hearing you just kind of like mull over all, just like all these different thoughts. Like one of the things I really like about this project and every project of yours I was able to take in is just like, outside of the ones that are like, like a short story about a war is very much like, this is what the album's about. Like you're telling a specific story. But every other project is just like your thoughts on, like romance, or your thoughts on like whatever the subject may be. Like, like this is, I'm like When This Is Over in particular is just such like a holistic, like I'm feeling silly on this one, like fuck love on this one, like let's talk about my family and everything that happened in Rwanda on this one, like it's just this whole, like every project is a mosaic, and like, and considering that this project is 20 years old this year, and the fact that it came together from you winning this bread and making a project, like talk to me about refining your style, becoming Shad, and like how it feels looking back on that foundation 20 years later.
Yeah. So first thing I'll say is, like you, I always resonated with this holistic thing that happens in hip hop, right? Where, and I first noticed it also in like Common albums and different, Outkast, all these people, where it's like, you can just be a whole person. You can just be a whole dynamic black person, you know,
Word.
within this music. And so from the beginning, like that was my inspiration, because yeah, there's a lot of sides to all of us, you know, and myself included, and I want to express all those things. I want to be all those things. And so yeah, and then the second thing I'll say is I do love this thing that you can do with hip hop, where you are like just kind of thinking out loud a little bit. Like a listener can
Yeah.
kind of follow you as you're just kind of struggling to understand something. And and just saying whatever you know. You know, you're just speaking the truth of your experience, while also maybe exploring some philosophical ideas at the same time. It's all in there. It's all in there. And it can all feel like poetry too, which is cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes what feels like poetry is a little more obviously sort of philosophical stuff, but other times what can really feel like poetry in hip hop, especially, is when you just say it so plain. That can also just like hit you, and just like, wow, that's the money right there, was just that line that is so simple and straightforward, or even like wrong in some way, like grammatically or whatever. Like it's just like incorrect,
Yeah.
perfect. Um, So, and then the last thing I'll say is this: like every album I make, I always start out thinking I'm going on this new journey. Like, okay, this album, man, it's about this. This is really, and I want to explore this musically and lyrically. And then I get to the end, and I'm like, oh, it's the same. I just keep doing the same thing. Like at the end of the day, I have the same concerns, I think, and the same message. So I think there's major through lines in my stuff, like from
For sure.
20 years ago when this is over to this. I i think I'm going on this huge journey as an artist, and but at the end of the day, now I kind of have the same tone, kind of have the same style from the first time I ever rapped. I think I've always had the same sort of style and
Yeah.
voice, and then I also just still am saying the same things fundamentally, of like, let's keep going, let's keep trying, let's remember who we are, let's remember where we come from, let's remember what's important and our best values, and let's keep kind of striving for that. I think is a thing I've always been saying, because it's what I need to hear.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like there's value in that, cuz
Mm-hmm.
like you look at icons of our genre, and there's plenty of them who are constantly reinventing themselves. They're making, not even just in the sense that they've like grown as people, like the stuff is so fundamentally different across albums. And
Yeah,
like it can feel like you have to chase that, and that you have to like have this new era. And like that era becomes like the defining thing of the next five, and it's just like it doesn't have to be that. Like you can kind of like that's what I appreciate so much about just just like being a person in your songs, because if you're a person in your songs, like that's never gonna go out of style. Like that's universal. Like you can like like you can make a song about stubbing your toe. Like
yeah,
everybody can relate to that. Like and like stuff, but and like not even just a song about stubbing your toe, but just kind of these universal human, or well, like stuff that's universal to all humans, and then
mm-hmm.
stuff that's specific to certain people. Like I think like I've been thinking a lot about I'll Never Understand,
Mm-hmm.
and just like how just that song is so raw. Like, and obviously not everybody can relate to the stuff you're talking about on there, but that like I noticed that kind of felt like a keystone to everything happening on a short story about a war.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like that album is just kind of I'll Never Understand blown out to feature length,
Yeah,
and like really turned into this very intimate look into the Rwandan genocide and everything going on there, and how it's affected you and your family and the world. Like just the two songs that really stuck out to me on that one were The Revolution and the Establishment and the Fool Part 2, Water. Because, like, we're at a point now where water is about to become currency in, like, 10 years at most. So, like, hearing stuff like that, and, of course, like, New World Water, like, Mos Def, Black on Both Sides, like, it's hard not to listen to projects like this and obviously see everything happening in Gaza, in Sudan, Niger, Tigray, wherever, Haiti, you name it. Like, all this stuff is happening, and like, this album is almost 10 years old.
Yeah.
And it feels like it could have dropped yesterday. And you could just swap out the name of the like, it's like, but at the same time, you can make something like I Get Down and just like have fun and just like have it be playful. And there's so many songs on Start Anew that, like, there's such a balance between figuring out life as you get older, as a father, as a husband, as a black person, as, like a first generation immigrant, like there's like, you put all of that together in a way that doesn't feel heavy.
Cool.
But you can feel the weight, but it's not like, I didn't feel crushed listening to any of your music.
Okay, dope.
Even like, and like, it's easy for stuff like that to feel like, So, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. You go.
No, I just wanted to say I appreciate that, because that really matters a lot to me. I care about listeners. Entertainer to me is not a bad word. Like, to me, entertainer means that you, I don't know, you like to make people happy. That's kind of fundamentally to me what it means. It's like you have an instinct and a desire to see people uplifted by what you're doing. So, and then kind of what we're talking about with Q-Tip too. Like, again, I think Q-Tip, his greatness comes down to he knows how it's supposed to feel. Like, it's supposed to feel like a certain way. And hip hop to me is supposed to have a level of electricity to it. I'm not an electric human being in certain ways. I don't walk around with this live wire energy. I'm a pretty laid back person, but I understand how it's supposed to feel when you rap. Like, people should be on the edge of their seat a little bit, not sure what you're going to say or how you're going to say it, or what the beat is going to do. Like you talked about with Q-Tip, flipping it in a way where you're like, I wasn't expecting it to do that or to feel like that or to go in that direction. Like, to me, that's how it's supposed to feel. Like, it's supposed to be a little bit exciting, a little bit fun to listen to, and not so much of a weight, even as it's a vehicle for me sorting through things and giving my take on things, because, I really do come from that world of, like, the underground where you can, I don't know, just get at some deeper stuff, and you have a little bit more room, a little more latitude. There's not the same commercial pressure. Like, I come from that world at the same as well, but I also come from just lunch table freestyles, and like, the whole point is to make your friends go, like, that's
exactly
supposed to feel like.
Exactly.
So yeah, I really try to make sure that's still in there, even as I'm trying to grapple with some things and trying to process our world and all that stuff. I'm always trying to remember the audience and remember how it's supposed to feel, and what I love about rap as well, which is that feeling, which is that excitement, which is that kind of live wire thing,
Right.
When Drake and Kendrick were battling, like, in Canada, I would be requested to do a lot of interviews, because of hip hop.
I'm sure, yeah.
It was nonstop, and one thing I kept get across was like, man, isn't hip hop amazing? Like, there's no reason for these two people to do this. Like, they are doing far too well. Like, to just stake everything right now, just to put all their chips in. Why? Like, they're so uber successful, but it's just because it's hip hop, I guess, and like
Right.
there's a level of entertainment and excitement to this thing that we're all getting. And yeah, again, like as much as there's some problematic things going on,
Right.
what was great was the level of excitement that is like, I remember that from live battles, like, oh boy, these
Yep.
people are risking major embarrassment and humiliation for our entertainment. This is
Right.
the best. Like, this is incredible, you know?
And you know, like, and like it's commitment too, because like considering, I don't know, like I have a lot of feelings about Drake. I also have a lot of feelings about Kendrick. It's complicated just for
Mhm.
like various reasons, but like you can't deny that both of them are committed to this thing we call rap in
Yeah.
slightly different ways, you could say, especially now. But
Yeah.
like they've bought in, these two titans have bought into that specific aspect of our culture
Yeah.
that you just like, you either get it or you don't. And it seemed like near the end, it seemed like the plot kind of like
Yeah.
Drake kind of lost everything. That like we don't have to. We all know what happened. We were all there. But like, you know, I just think Kendrick kind of understood and tapped into that a bit more, and was just, he was craftier. And
Yeah.
and like that comes because he's always had a very specific love and admiration for that cultural essence that you kind of lose when you're at the sixth god, I just got my 10th diamond record level. You know, like that's like you're kind of separate from that in a way that you can't really, it's hard to reconcile that no matter how hard you could be the biggest Little Brother fan in the world. You've
Yeah.
sold 10 million albums, or rather, you have a handful of albums that have sold 10 million units. You're gonna be disconnected at some point. That's just how it works. But like they both, in different ways, have bought into it and really are committed to that. And that commitment, you can't fake that commitment. Like, you know,
You
like
you
regardless of how it,
cannot.
yeah, you know,
Yeah. You cannot fake that like, even J. Cole, that we all know loves hip hop, you
yeah.
know, he decided, listen, man, I'm a damn near 40-year-old man. Like, I'm out. I'm out.
His heart wasn't in it, and that's fine. You know,
That's
like,
fine. And that's fine. But those two, listen, and I, you know, I'm of this similar vintage. I understand that decision. I would be like, I do not need this kind of energy around right now. And I love hip hop, but I'm out.
yeah,
But those two went all the way. They went all the way, writing rap songs for each other. Like,
yeah, man.
and there's just an excitement to that yeah, both of them are in touch with, like, yeah, this is how it's supposed to feel. Like, hip hop is supposed to have this electricity to it, this excitement, this, what is he going to say next, what is it going to sound like, live wire kind of thing going on. And so yeah, all that to say, you know, as much as I'm processing things in my music, and there's things I'm trying to communicate, and they may be abstract and esoteric at times or whatever, I always try to retain, like, what I love, what I first loved about hip hop, what I still love about hip hop, which is how it's supposed to feel: exciting, fun, you know, good company, all that stuff.
Right. And yeah, of course, like that can come through. That can come through in a song like Frame of Mind, the Kate Renata produced song. That can come through in a way like I Get Down, or it
Mm-hmm.
could come through in a way like Keep It Simple Stupid. You know, like these are all like, you know, like all three of those songs are, they all have like they're all being communicated in different ways, but it's all about feel, and it's all about like wanting to put that, just like put that feeling into something that like makes people feel good, makes
Yeah,
people think, and makes people feel good, and like not even think in like a ponderous, pretentious kind of way, just like, you know, just like you said, like the Andre quote, like I pay attention, like just based on the way you write, you're a person who pays attention, and you notice, like, you know, like these little small banal things that make life.
yeah,
um and before we move on to the album, but before we move on to Start Anew, I wanted to go back to hip hop evolution. And like, you know, I'm always really fascinated when people who start out like this is an interdisciplinary podcast, you know, like music and movies. So like I'm always interested to see people kind of move between those two barriers. Like how do you feel working on hip, or rather do you feel like hip hop evolution has influenced the way you make music at all? Like has kind of talking to all these luminaries like made you come at it a different way when you get back in the booth again?
Yeah, a couple different ways. One is just energy. So when we were really busy working on Hip Hop Evolution, then I would go, say film for 2 weeks and then go in the studio. Like I would just never be burnt out of working on music, just because
Mm.
you know whenever things are getting, I'm having trouble figuring out a song. It's like, okay, I gotta go anyways. So I'm not gonna bang my head against the wall. Got to go to Miami and talk to Uncle Luke. So I just always have an energy, and then nothing like direct, but just a sort of like deeper appreciation for things, even certain things about hip hop that are probably really obvious to people, but I never really appreciated fully or quite as deeply until I started working on the show. So one thing, for example, is just like understanding that hip hop is electronic music. Like it started
Word.
with turntables, like just because I started out rapping, I didn't really think about that. I was never a gear guy. I was never like freaking out about, oh, this is the drum machine Rick Rubin used on the, I was never that guy. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
never
yeah,
got
yeah.
that full appreciation for, rap has always been at the cutting edge of music technology. And that's like really part of the character of rap is like just being at the cutting edge of music technology and making it do things it's not supposed to do, you know, from turntables to sampling machines to auto tune, just like we just take a thing and a technology and bend it to our will.
Yeah.
Um, so stuff like that, or even the full appreciation of like New York culture.
Mm. Yeah.
Like hip hop is New York culture. Like
Yeah.
really
Sure
and
is.
deeply and truly, and especially the further we get along with hip hop, we lose touch with that. But people forget. We're talking about Outkast. Man, Outkast was getting disrespected in the '90s for not being, for being from Atlanta, like,
Yeah.
because hip hop is New York culture, and every single other place had to gain its respect within hip hop because it is so, you know, it actually does really and truly, and we all know it, and we all parrot it and say it like, yeah, hip hop started in the Bronx, hip hop started in the Bronx. It's like, do you fully understand and appreciate, yeah, this is from a certain part of the world,
Yeah,
like
man.
really and truly, and it's the culture and the sounds and the records that kids party to, you know, at a certain time. All those records are the foundation of hip hop. Like,
Yeah, man. Like I remember like my father grew up in the Bronx. He's 80, and like he told like he yeah, so like rap started to become a thing when he was already like a grown man. He was like damn near 40.
yeah,
And I'll never forget it. He always tells me the story of seeing somebody breakdancing on like cardboard outside his apartment for the first time. And he thought son was having a seizure. He called my aunt and was just like, "Oh, there's like a boy outside having a seizure." He's like, "Oh no, they're just breakdancing." And that's like the most New York shit you could possibly see in the late 70s, early 80s. Like literally just people dancing on cardboard. And you think they're having a seat, like that's it's so cliche and corny. That's the essence. Like that's where that came from.
that's
You
it.
know,
That's it.
direct runoff from disco and like funk and all that stuff. So
Exactly. And those records that those DJs found that made people move, it's like some of them were big records, some were not big records, but they were New York big records because those DJs found them, and then eventually they trickled out to the rest of the world. So yeah,
yeah,
man, just that, like that deeper appreciation for some of the fundamental like aspects of hip hop um that would find its way into my music a little bit. Um just studying the history. Like sounds silly, but even all these artists that we've been celebrating, like Tribe and Outkast, like they actually, part of why they're great is because they did that on a deeper level. They studied the history on a deeper level than other acts around the same
Yeah.
time. Tribe was bringing in Ron Carter to play bass
Word.
because they really read the liner notes, even though they were like 18. They were really studying the history and understanding that there's no shortcut to that bass sound. That bass sound resides in the hands of a man named Ron Carter, and he needs to come in here.
Yep.
Outkast did the same thing with cameos, bass player and stuff coming in. Like they studied the history. That's how you
Yep.
can pull off a song like Rosa Parks, because you really understand all the constituent parts of what you're trying to put together in a brand new way and the roots of it. So yeah, I just got a deeper appreciation for that, and it would find its way into the music in littlest ways, but yeah, it just kind of inspired me to go deeper.
That's amazing. I love that answer. And like it shows in something like this trilogy of albums that's ended with Start Anew. Like I didn't realize until yesterday that they were a trilogy. Like but it makes sense listening to those three records again and kind of like comparing and contrasting, but it's just like there is an arc across all three of them. And there's a line on Happiness from Start Anew. The one you say like every album I'm trying to die, it's like 9 suicides. Like and just like these and just like this idea of ego death.
Yeah.
And just like you really just like the fact that like you said, like you feel like it's the start of a new adventure, but you're kind of just playing the same game in a slightly different way on
Yeah.
every project, but you're still like like it reminds me of one of my favorite Open Mike Eagle songs is the one where a guy dies a million times from Hella Personal Film Festival, where he's kind of playing with the same idea of just like dying, of just like the creative process is like death and shedding and
Yeah.
resurrection and just like constant reformation. So talk to me about where the idea for Start Anew came from,
Yeah.
and how and why you wanted to tie it to the last two albums, those being the short story about War and TAO.
Yeah. So Start Anew felt to me like, okay, from a short story about a war and TAO, both of those, the inspiration started with me looking out at our world, kind of going, okay, how can I make sense of these things? Whereas like my previous albums, I felt were more like me telling my story, right? And then around Short Story About a War, I started to become a little bit more kind of focused on trying to make sense of what's going on around me, and so Short Story About a War, I'm trying to understand something about violence, about peace, about how fear plays into all of our problems.
Yeah, fear is a through line on all of these for sure. Yeah.
Fear, ended up being this through line. And then TAO, again, I'm looking out at our world and I'm seeing this image of like disintegration, like, yeah, really disintegration. In the sense of we're becoming less connected to each other, less connected to nature, less connected to meaningful work, less connected, just disintegrated, and so again, I'm thinking about peace, but in a different sense. Like peace, I'm thinking about peace as in wholeness, right? And we're like fractured and divided and disintegrated instead of whole, and peace in that sense. And then this one, Start Anew, I was thinking about endings, and I was like, again, looking out at our world and going, okay, maybe part of the problem right now is that we're realizing that we're at the end or towards the end of something or of many things. For example, America's probably the same as Canada in the sense of like we have an affordability crisis.
Mm. Yep.
We have a climate crisis. We have a technology, I don't know if it's crisis, but we have some serious decisions to make about how we want technology to be a part of our lives, um and anyways, if you look at say affordability or the climate, it's like we're realizing we're at the end of something. This system, it worked in some ways, but it's not working. Like things are not working.
Yeah.
Things are not working is what I'm trying to get at. And while we can recognize that, the hard thing is change. The hard thing is starting something new. It's just this weird human thing where even if something's not working, we cling to it.
Yeah, because it's what we know.
What we know, because it's what we know. So
Yeah.
start anew felt to me like I wanted to explore that. I wanted to explore this human thing of like, why can't we turn the page? Why can't we start a new story? Why is it so hard for us um to go in a new direction, even if where we're at right now is a obvious dead end?
Right.
Um and so to me the three albums are related in that way of just first of all just I'm looking out at the world and trying to make sense of it. And when I do that, ultimately I think what I'm curious about is fear and courage and what keeps us stuck and what keeps us from being whole and what keeps us from being connected, you know?
Right.
So there's all these through lines for sure about peace, about fear, about courage, about the courage specifically to go in a new direction or to close the chapter on something or um to die in a sense.
Yeah. 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 Because like death is, just like this idea of death as like a next step toward
Yeah.
becoming something different. Maybe we hope better, but
Yeah.
maybe not at the same time. It's just like risk is a really big part of this, or a really big part of this project too. It's an idea you touch on a bunch of songs here, and of course, like you said, like you're thinking about it in like an environmental sense, in a political sense, in a just like I guess like personal, intimate sense.
Yeah.
But like two songs that really stuck out to me were the last two
Mm.
actually, Sacrifice and Fear of Death. And on both of the, and like Sacrifice is kind of more about just the idea of what you're willing to sacrifice generally, but you do focus a bit on how it relates to the music industry. And then
Yeah.
Fear of Death dives fully into like what is this ecosystem that we exist in? Does it should like maybe we should just kind of let this thing burn and figure out where it needs to go from here,
Hmm.
which is like which is a conversation where like everybody in our neck of the woods is like this is all anybody's talking about at all times. It's kind of like driving every aspect of like the creation and distribution of music right now, in ways that are like depressing but also like interesting and cool and hopeful, like just as like an example, like I co-run a worker-owned music publication called Hearing Things, and that was birthed from the fact that the five of us, we all worked at Pitchfork in one respect or another. They had a bunch of layoffs. Some of us left, some of us were let go, but we came together and formed this new thing that exists on the side. We're very much like anti-algorithm, anti-Spotify. Like we're very much like we're dealing with this stuff over here in our own way, subscriber based, like subscriber funded, like that type of thing. So like in that sense, we're trying to be the change we want to see in the world.
Listen, this
Um,
is this is exactly what I'm talking about. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, no, no.
this is precisely what I'm talking about with this album and what I'm curious about with this
Yeah,
album is exactly what you're describing. Like and it's an open question, but it's like maybe what's required right now is the courage to try something like what you've decided to try.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
And like, yeah, and like we just celebrated a year. Like our 1 year anniversary was last Wednesday. We went through some crazy trials and tribulations that I've talked about a bunch on here. I won't get into, but like, just the fact that we kind of we did this experiment and it's working to an extent. Like we've made a name, we have an audience, people are interested and tapped in a way that they might not have been just kind of experiencing it from like the here's this thing like from the other end of it. But I guess like I bring all that up to ask you, like, since you dedicated these last two songs on this record to really grappling with like what, and like especially considering that you've been at this for 20 years, like you've seen so many iterations of not just the music industry but of the indie rap music industry. Like that's a whole mechanism and ecosystem unto itself. So like what what do you see as the path forward for you? Like what are you looking forward to trying? What are you
Yeah.
scared to try that you haven't tried yet, just like as somebody who makes a living off of this?
Yeah. So, there has been hopeful things. For example, my first album, When This Is Over, I decided to put out a vinyl release this year.
Right.
Um, I've never done that before. Like in terms of me independently doing that, like set up the Shopify store, send out a newsletter, tell people I'd like to do an anniversary run of this album. If you want to pre-order it, like let me know. That'll help me figure out quantities, whatever. The response was amazing, and
Hmm.
I was like, wow. And so I've spent a lot of this year sitting down and putting vinyl into boxes and signing thank you on them, and then driving them over to the post office. And I get a tremendous amount of satisfaction from just like the simple, it's just so coherent
Yeah.
and honest. It's just, I made a thing and someone has purchased it, and I write thank you and I send it to them. There's a peace of mind that comes from just that coherence. So I feel like, and I see that all around as well. I feel like music is, what was this thing, quiet quitting, that was going on? It's like, I feel like music is
Yeah.
going through this like quiet quitting. Like it is quietly happening. I see all of these artists that are like, man, this is pretty good. I do a little run of my stuff, and I send them out. I maybe even hand deliver a lot of them, and then maybe I'll put it on Spotify at some point. Like, I guess maybe, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter quite as
Yeah.
much, So that all that makes me like really hopeful. But I will say there's also the evergreen. There's a couple like evergreen kind of challenges, I think. One is what we just were talking about in terms of no matter what you do, no matter what you make as an artist, I think you always have to, there should always be risk involved and stakes involved. Personally, people want to hear an artist going out on a limb.
Yeah.
And so, so that will always exist. And then more specifically to kind of my age and stage, and there's a song on the album called Don't, where I'm trying to like grapple with this, is like not
Hmm.
cling, not be so concerned with legacy. I think that starts to happen. That starts to creep in as you get older as an artist. You can become very concerned with your place in the story and your history, and the history matters. But I'm really fighting to keep this mindset of like, at the end of the day, I was inspired and I made stuff as a result, and hopefully that inspires other people. And at the end of the day, that's really what this is. That's
Yeah.
really what this is. It's like I'm part of a long chain of inspiration that's been passed, and if I do my job right, I'm going to pass on some. And and not to be so concerned with some idea of myself or my little my little place in the story.
Yeah.
Just kind of like got to let the chips fall where they fall in that respect, but and just kind of continue to honor the thing. Um, and just try to honor music, by never playing it safe, always having, some real stakes in it, always risking something, whether that's vulnerability or silliness, like just doing something on that stage that that
Yeah.
that that is real, that is actually happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nah, like that's it really, like, at the end of the day, it really is, it goes beyond just like what do you have to offer, like, as a creative. It's just like what do you have to offer to other people? Like,
Yeah,
whether that be physical merch or an experience or a piece of advice or some sort of just like anything that, like you said, like that inspiration part is really, it's real important to me. Like, like I'm at a, like I'm at a point now where I still feel like I feel like I'm just getting started. Like, you make it like a decade into a career, and it's just like there's still more you want to offer, but it becomes even more about like what are you going to pass down to the
yeah,
people coming behind you who didn't, who, like, who could use, not even necessarily could use the guidance. I mean, everybody could use guidance, but it's just like, how do I give back to people, how do I give back to people in my circles, in my areas, and make this process easier for them than it was for me?
yeah,
Like, these are questions that everybody should be asking themselves once they hit a certain point.
yeah,
Really, from the jump, if you're able, but like, like, the easier we can make it, like, the more we can ensure that this is a culture, a career, an outlet that's going to be available to people, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years down the line. It's just like, like, to a certain extent, you have to be comfortable with being a cog in the machine. Like,
yeah,
obviously, like, every cog is different and they look different and sound different, serve different functions, but like, we're all a part of a machine at the end of it's always down to like the collective versus the individual. Like, we are individuals, but we serve,
that's right.
like, 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 in like the socialist communist sense. Like, we're all, like, we're individuals, sure, but like,
Hmm.
none of this works if we don't all just make sure that it's working the way it should be. And that comes down to, anyway, I'm gonna go off on a whole spiel, but I appreciate, even just like making music that talks about this stuff is like, I'm noticing it more and more from a lot of people that I admire and respect, but just seeing it become more prevalent. These are just conversations that need to be had, and setting it
Yeah,
to music is, I most people are gonna pick up on stuff like this from music and a movie more than they would a book. So shout out,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, like that's
yeah,
that's where I got to encounter a lot of um just important formative ideas was music. Yeah, because I wasn't gonna encounter it in a book. It was gonna be um music and film and TV. I mean, we didn't even get to TV. I'm a huge TV guy, but like, yeah, that's where I'm encountering a lot of stuff.
Okay, so before I ask you my last question and we wrap this, I do want to ask about. I don't want to, yeah, like, I don't want to leave here without you talking about TV. So
Yeah.
talk to me about that real quick. What's been on your mind there?
Yeah. Okay. What have I been watching? So, okay, I have two kind of TV watchings. There's me by myself, and then there's me and my partner. Me and my partner is a compromise. It's largely based on like what she likes,
Yeah.
which she likes some sort of spy-ish drama. So like The Diplomat or Slow Horses.
Uh huh.
But the one I got to shout out, there's a French one called, I guess it'd be called The Bureau. But you got to watch the one from France with the subtitles. It's worth it. It's
Word.
like it's Homeland level. It's above Homeland level. It's
Ooh.
high.
Okay.
It's high level. Um, And then when I'm by myself, I can watch like a bunch of different stuff. I always love a funny show because I feel like funny shows are rare. It's like increasingly rare, like a great funny show.
Yeah.
Uh, from the kind of like real warm-hearted ones like Abbott Elementary to like Hacks,
Yep. Love Hacks. One of
Love
my favorites
Hacks.
right now.
Yeah. So yeah, those are like some of my favorites. The only thing I have a real issue with when TV shows start like with a certain voice and style and tone, and then it changes, like The Bear.
Uh-huh.
I'm like still mad
Yeah.
at the Bear. I'm still mad at The Bear for switching up on me. Like I just feel like that's a rule of TV you should never violate. Like TV, there's a level of formula to TV. You're not allowed. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can bend it. You can only bend it a certain point, a certain amount before it just breaks entirely. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Like you can I love it when you play with it, but no. Like I didn't sign up for a silent film. Like The Bear started out with everybody yelling over top of each other.
I knew that's where you were going with that. That's so funny. That's so
It
funny.
it started out with everybody literally yelling at the same time, and then at a
Yeah.
certain point, I get an episode with like, it's like what's the Terrence Malick like
Yeah.
four words were spoken in this episode. I'm like, that's a violation. Like that is not okay.
It was a pretty bold leap.
Yeah.
I liked the earlier attempts at that, but yeah, like the last season did nothing for me. I thought it was pretty lousy, honestly. Of the Bear specifically. Me and my partner were the same way. Like there's certain things that I'll watch by myself that like I won't watch with them.
Yeah.
Like right now we're watching The Sopranos because neither of us have seen it.
Yeah.
I'm from the area in Jersey where The Sopranos takes place, so like it was just kind of like around me. So I never felt like the need to go and watch it because it's like, not that I lived it, like I'm not an Italian mobster. I'm not Italian, so like it's not like it's my culture, but I know the area so well that it's like it'd just be like watching home.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really need to be doing at that time. So now I'm watching it and just like taking in everything, and it's like I think we both appreciate it for different reasons, because like we both love it because Tony Soprano is Tony Soprano. He's like the anti-hero you love to hate. He's funny, he's philosophical, he's kind of like the perfect TV character. But then like for me, it's just like recognizing all the landmarks and being like, oh, I know Bloomfield Avenue, I know the Pine Barrens, I know the Garden State Mall, the Paramus Mall. Like I know, like these are like, I go to the Paramus Mall, like that's where I see my movies. So like it's just like, this is like my life being reflected back at me in a certain way. But then like when I'm by myself, like I'm a big anime person. I'm watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure right now. And stuff like I don't know, just like I also watch just like a lot of like stuff like, like Hip Hop Evolution and documentaries. Like I got a Letterboxd list of movies that's like 80 movies long. I'm just always on the hunt for all that type of stuff. So I think like my relationship with that stuff always dictates where I'm at, kind of like emotionally. And emotionally. That's the end of that sentence.
I love
So
I love a rewatch, or not a rewatch, but like just digging up an older show and watching it like through the lens of now. I did that in the pandemic because obviously we had time. So that was when I watched The Sopranos for the first time, was in the pandemic. Yeah, just kind of seeing what works, what doesn't work. Like I thought it was like I enjoyed The Sopranos, but I thought it was funny that I could just imagine them in the year, whatever year that show started, late 90s, early 2000s, where they're like, it'd be a crazy premise for a show was like if a strong man was in therapy. Like that would just be like nuts,
Right. And that was like bold and genre pushing at the time. Yeah, totally. Like me and my partner were just talking about that last night. Just the idea of like, it's so weird, like how progressive that show is in so many ways that maybe like at the time, like definitely, just like in the sense that like there's like one scene where like Christopher is talking to Jon Favreau and he brings him on for the movie, and he's telling this story about a trans person having a hate crime enacted, like we would understand it in 2025 as a trans person having a hate crime enacted against them, but the whole time he's using the proper pronouns, so it's like it's like it's kind of like funny and weird and like oddly progressive in a way that it shouldn't be. It's so strange, but like you can appreciate the scene just kind of illustrating how deplorable of a person Christopher can be at his worst, but it's also like, oh, like that's actually like you didn't misgender the person, so it's like not cool, but it's interesting.
Yeah. No, all that stuff is is really interesting to watch when you watch a show. Another one I remember in the pandemic, I watched Friends. I don't think I'd ever really watched Friends. And the first season, the whole time I was watching it, I was just trying to figure out if they were cool. Because now when a show is set in New York and it's young people in New York, it's like, okay, this is a show about like cool people.
Right. Yeah, totally.
But from the second I turn on Friends, I'm like, wait, I don't think they're cool. Like, this is just... And so I 2 seasons, I was like, are they cool? And I have like my notes beside it, like, like, well, I don't think they're cool. Like, but now that's just and for a show about cool people. It's set in New York. They have cool apartment. It's like, okay, this is about like hip young people. But Friends is not about cool people. I realized that was like my final analysis. It was like, This is about normal people.
Yeah, no, like definitely like normal for like the when did Friends start? Like the mid to late 90s, something like that. Yeah. No, like it was definitely supposed to be like some kind of a, because like I always think I didn't really watch much Friends either, but like I think of that, like you obviously relate it to stuff like Living Single or Girlfriends, which I think it pulled from pretty liberally, but like it's like Living Single was very much like they were cool, even like they weren't like the people on Living Single were cool even if they weren't like Sex in the City rich, they were like they were very much like cutting edge cool young people, but in like a relatable down to earth way. And I think that's why I gravitated more towards something like Living Single than Friends for other obvious reasons. But
yes. But by the mid 2000s, for sure, if a show was set in New York, like Girls or that Kid Cudi one, like it's obviously about cool young people.
1000%, yeah.
But yeah, back then you would have a show about regular young people, which I thought I don't know why, but I just thought that was interesting. I was like, yeah, no, you don't really see that much no more.
Right, like, and like, there's a few examples, but it's definitely not as prevalent. Like, the baseline is very much like if you're in a city, you're finding where the cool people are at. Like, you're definitely right about that. But to formally wrap this, Shad, if your life was a movie, what would it be about?
Ooh, wow! If my life was a movie, what would it be about? I heard, I don't know if this would be what my movie would be about. Hopefully, on some level, in some sense, it would be about this. I remember hearing Aaron Sorkin talk about how the thing he likes to do with his movies or his shows is try to dramatize the difference between good and great, or trying to dramatize, like people kind of striving for that.
Yeah.
And like kind of striving beyond like what is just sort of like acceptable and fine, And I would hope that my movie would be that on some level. I don't think it would be about that as it relates to my work. I think hopefully it would be the dramatization of that as it relates to like life and trying to treat people well and trying to like do things with integrity, you know. The other thing that he said is like, yeah, something about like doing the right thing when no one's looking, when no one's, maybe that's even more specifically what I'm trying to say. Like, I would hope my movie would be about that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, doing the right thing when no one's watching.
One of my
And
favorite
trying,
quotes of.
yeah.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. I just said, or trying to.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes of all time is from an episode of Futurama, the one where Bender, he like winds up adrift in space, and then he has there's like a colony of like microscopic beings that winds up on his body, and he like becomes their god. Mm-hmm. And then they wind up destroying themselves, and then he winds up meeting this being that's implied to be God. It's like a big galaxy, and God tells him, like, when you do something right, people won't know that you've done anything at all. And that's just kind of, it's been in my head for 20 years. You know, like, just like, yeah, because like really, like when you do something right, people won't know that you've done anything at all, because it's just kind of, it is what it is. That's what you're supposed to do, and it is. Yeah. You know, and like, and it's just, and like, and to me, a lot of that is just about accepting that you won't always get recognized for doing the right thing, but it's been done. Yeah. And that sometimes that has to be enough. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. 100%.
Yo, Shad, this has been such an amazing like, this has been so dope. Like, thank you. Like, once again, like, as somebody who's pretty new to the table here, like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm you know, like, I'm excited about this album. I'm excited to put this out and to like I know plenty of people on my end who are going to be in similar positions who didn't hear about you, I'm sure are going to really like, this was very enlightening and just fun. So like, thank you for the work, and thank you for taking the time, truly.
Man, likewise, Dylan, this was really a pleasure, man. This was a great conversation. I appreciated that.
Thank you. Yeah, nah, like, and that's what it is at the end of the day. These, I don't even think about these as interviews. These are conversations, and we just get to put them out for people. So. Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far. And shout out to all the black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.